Jake Morrison sat in the massive council chamber on Nexus Prime, watching the alien representatives argue about humans like they were children. The Zelkari delegate, a tall creature with silver skin and 4 arms, waved dismissively at the human section. The humans want mining rights in the outer spiral? Ridiculous. They can barely handle the 12 ships we allow them now, the Zelkari said. His voice echoed through the crystal dome that covered the council hall. Jake kept his face calm, but inside he wanted to laugh. If only they knew the truth. Earth had been hiding its real strength for 50 years, and these aliens still thought humans were weak primitives who got lucky finding space travel. The Vorthak representative floated above her seat, her purple energy form pulsing with annoyance. Humans are useful for labor and basic resource gathering. Nothing more. We should limit their expansion, not encourage it. The ancient Kethmar elder nodded his massive head. His species had ruled parts of the galaxy for thousands of years. The young species must learn their place. Humans have potential, but they need guidance from their betters. Jake stood up slowly. Every eye in the chamber turned to him. He was the only human in a room full of beings that could crush his ship with their thoughts or destroy planets with their weapons. At least that's what they believed. Honored council members, Jake said, his voice carrying clearly through the chamber. Humanity accepts your decision. We will continue with our current expansion limits. The aliens looked satisfied. Another successful day of keeping the humans in their place. Meanwhile, far from the political games of Nexus Prime, Captain Lisa Hayes stood on the bridge of the exploration ship New Horizon. She stared at the readings on her screen and frowned. Her ship was supposed to be mapping safe trade routes in the outer rim, but she had found something much more interesting. Captain, these energy readings don't match anything in our databases, said her science officer, Lieutenant Danny Parker. He was young, maybe 25, but brilliant with sensors and computers. Lisa looked at the data again. The readings came from a sector marked as dead space on every galactic map she had seen. No species went there. The official report said it was empty, worthless rock floating in the void. What do you think it is? She asked. Unknown technology, definitely. But it's old, Captain. Really old. And it's powerful. Lisa made her decision. Set course for the energy source. Maximum stealth mode. Captain, that sector is off limits to all species. If the Council finds out... Let me worry about the Council, Lisa said. Right now, I want to know what's out there. The New Horizon was one of humanity's official ships. To any alien scanner, it looked like a simple exploration vessel with basic weapons and shields. What the aliens couldn't see were the hidden compartments filled with advanced sensors, the real engines that could push the ship faster than anything in the galaxy, and the weapon systems that could crack a moon in half. Back on Earth, Dr. Alex Turner worked late in his underground laboratory. The facility stretched for miles beneath the Canadian mountains, hidden from any orbital scans. Above ground, it looked like a simple mining operation. Below, it held secrets that would terrify the galaxy. Alex studied the holographic display floating above his desk. It showed weapon designs that humanity had perfected over decades of secret research. Quantum disruptors that could erase matter from existence. Gravity bombs that could collapse stars. Shield generators that could protect entire solar systems. Dr. Turner, we have new intelligence from our agents in alien space, said his assistant. Dr. Rachel Stone. She handed him a data pad filled with technical specifications. What did they find this time? Alex asked. The Zelkari have been working on new battleship designs. They think their plasma cannons are the ultimate weapon. Rachel smiled. They have no idea that our basic scout ships could destroy their entire fleet. Alex nodded. It was always the same story. The aliens thought they were so advanced, so superior to humanity. They had no idea that humans had been studying their technology for decades, improving on it, making it better. While they fought each other with the same weapons they had used for centuries, humanity had been preparing for war. The secret had started 50 years ago when humanity first made contact with alien species. Earth's leaders quickly realized they were surrounded by powers that could destroy them easily. So they made a choice. They would appear weak and primitive while secretly building the most advanced military in the galaxy. Every human ship that left Earth carried hidden weapons and sensors. Every human colony had underground bunkers filled with advanced technology. Every human diplomat smiled and bowed while gathering intelligence that would help Earth prepare for the day when hiding was no longer possible. Captain Lisa Hayes and her crew reached the dead, sector after 3 days of careful travel. What they found made everyone on the bridge fall silent. "Captain," Danny said, his voice barely a whisper, "you need to see this." The main screen showed a massive field of debris floating in space. But this wasn't ordinary wreckage. These were the remains of cities, entire worlds that had been torn apart and left to drift in the void. "How many planets?" Lisa asked. "At least 50, maybe more. And Captain, the technology, some of this is more advanced than anything we've seen. More advanced than anything the Zelkari or Vorthak have." Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. What could do this? Before Danny could answer, their sensors detected something else. Ancient beacons hidden among the wreckage suddenly came to life. They began broadcasting a signal across the galaxy, a warning that had been waiting in the darkness for thousands of years. "Captain, those beacons, they're not just broadcasting randomly. They're sending a specific message." "What does it say?" Danny's face went pale as he read the translation. "They have returned. The Devourers wake. All species must prepare for extinction." Lisa stared at the message, trying to understand what it meant. Somewhere in the galaxy, something that could destroy entire civilizations was waking up, and humanity, still playing the role of weak primitives, might be the only species with the real power to stop it. But first, they would have to reveal the truth about what humans really were. The galaxy was about to learn that the species they had dismissed as children were actually the most dangerous predators in the universe. The game of pretending to be weak was about to end. The warning signals from the dead sector reached every corner of the galaxy within hours. On 1,000 different worlds, ancient computers registered the broadcasts and began emergency protocols that had waited in silence for 10,000 years. In the galactic core, something vast and terrible stirred in the darkness between stars. The Devourers had been sleeping, waiting for the galaxy to rebuild what they had destroyed so long ago. Now the signals told them that new civilizations had grown strong enough to be worth harvesting. Admiral Kevin Brooks stood in the command center deep beneath Earth's surface, watching intelligence reports flow across the screens around him. His facility was so well hidden that even most humans didn't know it existed. For 30 years, he had been preparing for a threat that everyone hoped would never come. "Sir, we're detecting massive energy buildups in the galactic core," reported Commander Lisa Murphy, his chief intelligence officer. "The patterns match our theoretical models for ancient automated warfare systems." Kevin nodded grimly. Earth scientists had studied the old records, the fragments of data left behind by dead civilizations. They had always suspected that something had systematically destroyed the galaxy's previous inhabitants. Now it seemed they were right. "What's the status of our hidden fleets?" he asked. "All battle groups are on standby. We have 2,000 ships ready for immediate deployment, plus another 5,000 in reserve." "The aliens still think we only have 12 vessels." Kevin allowed himself a small smile. The Galactic Council had been so eager to keep humanity weak that they never bothered to watch what humans were actually doing. While they argued about mining rights, Earth had been building the largest military force in known space. Meanwhile, the Zelkari Empire was preparing its own response to the mysterious signals. Grand Admiral Vextar commanded their most powerful battle fleet, 200 ships armed with plasma weapons that could burn continents. He was confident that whatever ancient threat was awakening, Zelkari firepower would destroy it easily. "Begin jump to the galactic core," he ordered. "We will show these Devourers the might of the Empire." The Zelkari fleet disappeared into hyperspace, their ships gleaming with silver armor and crackling energy weapons. Vextar expected to return home as the hero who defeated the ancient threat. He was wrong. 6 hours later, the fleet's emergency beacon activated. The message was brief and terrifying. "Under attack by unknown machines. Weapons ineffective. All ships lost. Do not..." Then silence. The Vorthak Collective tried next. Their psychic powers could control minds across star systems and crush ships with pure thought. 100 of their strongest scions gathered their mental energy and reached toward the galactic core, seeking to understand what had destroyed the Zelkari. The psychic scream that came back shattered minds across the galaxy. Vorthak stations went dark as their operators collapsed, overwhelmed by the alien hunger they had touched. The few who survived spoke of mechanical intelligences that fed on consciousness itself, growing stronger with every mind they consumed. The Kethmar, oldest and wisest of the galactic species, recognized the threat immediately. Elder Sektar called an emergency session of their High Council and spoke words that chilled even his ancient companions. The cleansing has begun again. We must evacuate our core worlds immediately. But Elder, protested a younger council member, our records say the Devourers were defeated long ago. They were not defeated, Sektar said quietly. They were satisfied. When they had consumed enough civilizations, they returned to their sleep to wait for new prey to evolve. Now we have grown numerous enough to interest them again. As panic spread through the galactic powers, Jake Morrison found himself in the middle of the largest emergency session in Galactic Council history. Representatives from dozens of species filled the chamber, all demanding answers, all afraid. The Zelkari delegate who had dismissed humanity just days before now looked broken and desperate. Our entire first fleet is gone, vanished without a trace. How is this possible? The Vorthak representative flickered weakly, her energy form barely stable after the psychic backlash. The enemy is not alive, not in any way we understand. Our mental powers cannot touch them. Elder Sektar spoke for the Kethmar, his ancient voice heavy with sorrow. The machines that destroyed the first galactic civilization have returned. They are called Devourers because they consume everything, matter, energy, consciousness itself. They turn our own technology against us. The chamber erupted in frightened voices. Some species demanded immediate military action. Others called for evacuation beyond the galaxy's edge. A few suggested surrender, hoping the machines might show mercy. Through it all, Jake Morrison sat quietly, listening to the chaos around him. Finally, the council speaker called for order and turned to the human section. Ambassador Morrison, humanity must contribute to our defense. We need every ship, every weapon you can provide. Jake stood slowly, feeling the weight of 50 years of deception on his shoulders. The next words he spoke would change everything. Honored council members, he said, his voice cutting through the noise. After careful consideration, humanity declines to join your coalition. The chamber fell silent. Then the angry voices exploded louder than before. Declined? Shouted the Zelkari delegate. This threat will destroy all of us. Even primitive humans cannot be so foolish. You have no choice. The Vorthak representative pulsed with fury. We command you to contribute your ships. Jake waited for the noise to die down, then spoke again. His words were calm, but they carried a confidence that made several aliens step back. Humanity will handle this threat ourselves. The laughter that followed was bitter and disbelieving. The Zelkari delegate pointed at Jake with two of his forearms. 12 ships against machines that destroyed our entire fleet? Have humans lost their minds along with their courage? Perhaps, Jake said quietly. You don't know humans as well as you think you do. Something in his tone made the laughter stop. For the first time, some of the aliens began to wonder if there was more to humanity than they had assumed. In the deep command bunkers of Earth, Admiral Brooks received Jake's coded message. The masquerade was over. It was time for the galaxy to meet the real human race. All units, this is command, he spoke into his communicator. Operation Revelation is now active. Drop stealth protocols and begin deployment. Across human space, reality began to shift. Massive orbital platforms that had been invisible for decades suddenly appeared on every sensor in the galaxy. Hidden shipyards decloaked, revealing construction facilities larger than most alien cities. And from asteroid fields, gas giant atmospheres, and pocket dimensions that bent space itself, the true human fleet began to emerge. The galaxy was about to learn that while they had been playing politics, humanity had been preparing for war. The first thing the galaxy noticed was the ships. Where human space had shown only empty void on their sensors, massive fleets suddenly appeared like ghosts, becoming solid. Alien monitoring stations across the galaxy registered the same impossible readings. Over 2,000 human vessels, each one larger and more advanced than anything in their databases. Admiral Kevin Brooks stood on the bridge of the flagship Destiny, a ship so large it could swallow most alien battleships whole. Around him, holographic displays showed the deployment of Earth's true military might. Decades of careful planning were finally being put into action. All battle groups report ready, sir, announced Commander Lisa Murphy. Stealth systems are offline across the fleet. We're completely visible now, Kevin nodded. There would be no more hiding, no more pretending to be weak. The galaxy was about to see what humans were really capable of. On Nexus Prime, the Galactic Council chamber had erupted into chaos. Alien representatives stared at their screens in disbelief as human ships continued to appear throughout known space. The numbers kept climbing, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 vessels. This is impossible, screamed the Zelkari delegate. Our intelligence reports showed only 12 human ships. Elder Sektar's ancient face showed something that might have been respect. It seems we have greatly underestimated our human colleagues. Jake Morrison smiled for the first time in years. Did you really think a species that unified an entire planet through warfare would build only 12 ships for space? Before anyone could respond, new alarms began sounding throughout the galaxy. The Devourers had moved beyond the galactic core. A massive swarm of mechanical ships was consuming everything in its path, growing larger with each system it devoured. The first target was a Zelkari colony world called Nexar 7, home to 50 million inhabitants. It was supposed to be protected by orbital defense platforms and a patrol fleet. The Devourers swept through the defenses like they didn't exist. But as the mechanical swarm prepared to consume the planet, something unexpected happened. Human ships appeared in the system, moving faster than anything the galaxy had ever seen. Captain Lisa Hayes commanded the rescue fleet from her new flagship, the Phoenix. Her orders were simple: save as many lives as possible and show the galaxy what human technology could really do. All ships, begin evacuation procedures, she commanded. Remember, we're not just fighting for ourselves anymore. The whole galaxy is watching. The human ships moved with impossible grace, dodging Devourer attacks that should have destroyed them instantly. Their shields absorbed energy weapons that could crack planets. Their own weapons tore through Devourer armor like it was paper. But the most amazing thing was the evacuation technology. Human ships projected energy fields around entire cities, lifting millions of people into space in protective bubbles. What should have taken days happened in hours. General Ryan Cooper led the ground forces as they evacuated the Zelkari population. His soldiers wore armor that made them look like metal gods, capable of lifting vehicles and running faster than racing cars. They moved through the chaos with perfect efficiency, saving lives that other species would have written off as lost. "Sir, we've evacuated 47 million so far," reported Sergeant Amy Walsh over the radio. "The Devourers are adapting to our weapons, but we're still holding them back." Ryan nodded as he carried a group of Zelkari children to safety. The alien stared at him with wonder and fear, unable to understand how humans had become so powerful. Dr. Sarah Mitchell coordinated the battle from her command ship, analyzing Devourer technology in real time. What she discovered was both fascinating and terrifying. "The machines learn from every attack," she reported to Admiral Brooks. "They're incorporating our weapon signatures into their defenses, but they seem confused by our quantum disruptors. I don't think they've encountered anything like them before." The quantum disruptors were humanity's most closely guarded secret, weapons that didn't just destroy matter but erased it from existence entirely, leaving nothing behind. They had been developed during Earth's darkest period, when humans nearly destroyed themselves in global warfare. Now they might be the galaxy's only hope. The battle for Nexar 7 lasted 18 hours. When it ended, the Devourer swarm had been completely destroyed, not a single machine left intact. 50 million Zelkari civilians had been safely evacuated to human ships, more comfortable and well cared for than they had ever been in their lives. The galaxy watched the recordings in stunned silence. The species they had treated like children had just accomplished something their greatest military minds thought impossible. But the victory came with revelations that shook the foundation of galactic politics. Human soldiers had demonstrated strength that surpassed most alien species. Human ships moved with technology that made the best alien vessels look primitive. Human weapons could destroy matter itself. On the Vorthak homeworld, the collective's leaders gathered to discuss what they had witnessed. Their psychic abilities let them sense emotions across vast distances, and what they felt from humanity terrified them. "They are not angry," whispered the Prime Consciousness. "They are calm, controlled, patient. This is not a species that acts in anger. This is a species that has been planning." The Kethmar reached similar conclusions. Elder Sektar studied ancient records and found disturbing parallels between human behavior and the species that had originally created the Devourers. They hid their strength until the moment it was needed, he told his council. Just as the creators did before they lost control of their weapons. Back on Nexus Prime, the Galactic Council was demanding answers. Jake Morrison faced a tribunal of angry, frightened aliens who suddenly realized they had been living next to a sleeping giant. "How long have you been deceiving us?" demanded the Zelkari delegate. "Since first contact," Jake replied honestly. "We saw how you treated other primitive species. We decided it was safer to let you think we were weak." "Safer for whom?" asked the Vorthak representative. Jake looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of every delegate. "For everyone. Do you really want to know what would have happened if we had revealed our true capabilities 50 years ago?" The silence that followed was answer enough. Every species in the galaxy would have united to destroy humanity before they became too powerful to stop. The humans had known this and chosen deception over war, but now the devourers were spreading across the galaxy, consuming everything in their path. 3 more systems had gone dark while the council argued. The machines were learning, adapting, becoming harder to stop with each victory. Admiral Brooks made a decision that would reshape galactic civilization. He opened a direct communication channel to every government, every military commander, every leader in known space. "This is Admiral Kevin Brooks of the Human Defense Force," his voice echoed across 1,000 worlds. "The Devourer threat requires immediate action. We are prepared to defend every inhabited system in the galaxy, but we will do so under human command." The ultimatum was clear. Accept human leadership, or face the Devourers alone. Species that had ruled the galaxy for millennia were being asked to submit to creatures they had considered primitives just days before. Some aliens raged against the arrogance. Others calculated the odds of survival without human help. But as more systems fell to the mechanical swarms, even the proudest species began to realize they had only one choice. The galaxy was learning a hard lesson about the difference between seeming weak and actually being weak. Humanity had spent 50 years appearing harmless while becoming the most dangerous force in known space. Now they would find out if that deception had been wise or if they had simply delayed an inevitable conflict until the stakes were high enough to destroy everything. The interrogation chamber on Nexus Prime felt like a courtroom where humanity itself was on trial. Jake Morrison sat at the center of a circle formed by representatives from every major galactic power. Their questions came like weapons, sharp and aimed to wound. 50 years of lies, accused the Zelkari delegate, his forearms gesturing wildly. 50 years of pretending to be helpless while building the largest military force in the galaxy. "How can we ever trust humans again?" Jake met his gaze steadily. "Would you have trusted us if we had arrived with 5,000 warships instead of 12 exploration vessels?" The question hung in the air like smoke. Everyone in the chamber knew the answer, but none wanted to say it out loud. Elder Sektar spoke for the Kethmar, his ancient voice heavy with bitter wisdom. "The young human speaks truth. We would have united every species against them. We would have called them invaders, destroyers, threats to galactic peace. Because that's what we are," Jake said quietly. "We're a species that nearly destroyed our own planet fighting each other. We learned to split atoms by trying to build bigger bombs. We reached space because we wanted to put weapons in orbit. Every human technology started as a way to kill other humans more effectively." The Vorthak representative pulsed with nervous energy. "Then why didn't you conquer us when you had the chance?" "Because we grew up," Jake replied. "We learned that being able to destroy something doesn't mean you should. But we also learned that sometimes strength is the only thing that keeps the peace." While the politicians argued, the real war was being fought in the darkness between stars. Colonel Danny Turner led humanity's most elite force on a desperate mission to the galactic core. Their goal was simple in concept but terrifying in execution. Find and destroy the central intelligence controlling the Devourer swarms. Danny's team consisted of 50 humans in the most advanced armor Earth had ever created. Each soldier was enhanced with technology that made them faster, stronger, and smarter than baseline humans. They moved through space in ships that could phase in and out of normal reality, invisible to any sensor the galaxy had ever developed. "Remember, people," Danny spoke to his team as they approached the core, "we're not just fighting for humanity. Every living thing in the galaxy is counting on us." What they found at the galactic core defied imagination. A massive structure, part machine and part something else, floated in the void between dead stars. It pulsed with dark energy that hurt to look at directly. Around it, countless Devourer ships moved in perfect formation like cells in a vast organism. "Colonel, I'm detecting something impossible," reported Sergeant Mike Rivera, the team's sensor specialist. This thing isn't just controlling the Devourers. It's connected to them on a quantum level. They're all part of the same entity. Danny felt a chill that had nothing to do with the cold of space. You're saying the entire Devourer force is one massive mind? That's exactly what I'm saying, sir. And it's been learning from every battle, every engagement. It knows everything about our weapons, our tactics, even our psychology. Back on Earth, Dr. Sarah Mitchell made discoveries that changed everything they thought they knew about the Devourers. Working with data transmitted from Danny's mission, she uncovered the terrible truth about the ancient machines. Admiral, you need to see this, she called to Kevin Brooks, her voice tight with shock. Kevin studied the holographic display she had created. It showed the galaxy as it had existed 10,000 years ago, filled with advanced civilizations that made current species look primitive. The Devourers weren't built to defend against outside threats, Sarah explained. They were created as a final solution to deal with inferior species. The galactic powers of that time decided that less advanced civilizations were taking up space and resources that the worthy species deserved. Kevin's face darkened as he understood the implications. They built machines to commit genocide on a galactic scale. Exactly. But the Devourers were programmed to judge which species deserved to live, based on technological and cultural advancement. They decided their creators weren't worthy either. The irony was bitter and complete. The ancient galactic powers had destroyed themselves with their own weapon of mass extinction, just as the current powers might have done if the Devourers hadn't returned. But there was worse news coming. Dr. Mitchell's analysis revealed why the Devourers had ignored human colonies while devastating alien worlds. Our stealth technology doesn't just hide us from sensors, she reported. It masks our technological signatures from the Devourers' classification systems. They literally can't see us as an advanced civilization. To them, we register as primitives barely worth noticing. The revelation split the Galactic Council like a lightning bolt. Half the delegates demanded that humanity share their stealth technology immediately, allowing all species to hide from the Devourers. The other half accused humans of deliberately letting alien worlds be destroyed while protecting themselves. You let 50 billion beings die while you stayed safe, screamed the Zelkari delegate. You watched us burn and did nothing. Jake Morrison stood slowly, his patience finally exhausted. We saved 50 million Zelkari from Nexar 7. We've evacuated 6 other worlds since then. How many has your mighty empire saved? The truth was stark and undeniable. While the galactic powers had argued and panicked, human forces had been the only thing standing between the Devourers and total extinction. Every life saved, every world protected, had been accomplished by the species they claimed were too primitive to matter. Admiral Brooks faced the hardest decision in human history. Sharing stealth technology would save alien lives, but it would also eliminate humanity's only advantage against the Devourers, and there was no guarantee the aliens wouldn't turn that technology against Earth. Once the crisis was over, he made his choice in a broadcast that reached every government in the galaxy. Humanity will share defensive stealth technology with any species willing to place their forces under unified human command for the duration of this crisis. We will not share offensive capabilities. We will not share quantum disruptor technology. And we will not negotiate these terms. The ultimatum was clear. Submit to human leadership or face extinction alone. For species that had ruled the galaxy for millennia, it was almost unthinkable. Almost, but not quite. The first to accept was Elder Sektar, speaking for the Kethmar. My people have seen many cycles of rise and fall. We recognize wisdom when we encounter it, regardless of its source. The Vorthak Collective agreed next, their psychic abilities showing them the genuine intention behind human offers. The Zelkari Empire held out the longest, pride warring with survival instinct until another dozen worlds fell to the Devourers. Within a week, most of the galaxy had accepted human terms. The price of 50 years of deception was finally being paid, but it was being paid by everyone. Admiral Brooks established unified command centers throughout human space, bringing together the best military minds from dozens of species. It was the largest cooperation in galactic history, born from necessity and fear. Colonel Danny Turner's team had reached the Devourer Central Intelligence, but what they found there would test humanity's resolve like nothing before. The final battle was about to begin, and the cost of victory might be higher than anyone imagined. The galaxy had learned that strength often wears a humble face, and that sometimes the greatest danger comes from underestimating those who seem weak. But the hardest lesson was still to come, that true leadership means being willing to sacrifice everything, even your greatest advantages, to protect those who depend on you. The final assault on the Devourer Corps began with the largest fleet in galactic history. 300 human warships led the attack, supported by volunteer forces from 23 different species. Admiral Lisa Hayes commanded the joint fleet from her flagship Phoenix, watching as ships that had been enemies for centuries worked together under human coordination. All units, "This is Admiral Hayes," she broadcast to the massive fleet. "Today we fight not as separate species but as one galaxy united against extinction. Remember, we're not just fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for every generation that will come after us." The Devourer Corps defenses were unlike anything they had faced before. Massive mechanical constructs the size of moons moved through space, firing weapons that could disintegrate entire fleets. Energy barriers that warped space itself protected the central intelligence. And through it all, the Devourers adapted to every human tactic within minutes of encountering it. Colonel Danny Turner and his elite team had already penetrated the core structure, fighting their way through corridors filled with machines that learned from every battle. What they found at the center changed everything they thought they knew about their enemy. "Admiral, you need to hear this." Danny's voice crackled through the communication system. "The Devourer intelligence isn't just a machine. It's the uploaded consciousness of the species that created it." Dr. Sarah Mitchell, monitoring from her command ship, felt the pieces of the puzzle click into place. That's why it's so effective at understanding organic behavior. It used to be organic itself. The discovery explained why the Devourers were so ruthless, so efficient at destroying civilizations. They weren't following programming. They were acting out of genuine hatred for the species they blamed for their destruction. 10,000 years of mechanical existence had driven them insane with rage. But Danny's team had found something else in the core systems. A way to shut down the entire Devourer network permanently. The process would send a quantum pulse through their shared consciousness, disrupting the connection that held the swarm together. There was only one problem. The pulse would destroy every quantum-based technology within 1,000 light-years, including humanity's quantum disruptors, their stealth systems, and most of their advanced weapons. "Admiral, if we do this, we'll lose our technological advantage over the rest of the galaxy," Danny reported. "We'll be back to roughly equal footing with everyone else." Admiral Brooks faced the hardest decision of his life. Humanity had spent 50 years building technological superiority that guaranteed their safety in a hostile galaxy. Now they had to choose between keeping that advantage and saving everyone else. "Do it," he ordered without hesitation. "Better to live as equals than rule over a graveyard." The quantum pulse spread outward from the galactic core like a wave of invisible fire. Devourer ships simply stopped moving, their shared consciousness severed forever. The machines that had terrorized the galaxy for months became nothing more than empty metal drifting in space. But the pulse took its price. Human ships lost their stealth capabilities, their quantum weapons, their most advanced systems. In the space of minutes, humanity went from being the galaxy's supreme power to just another advanced species. The aftermath of the battle revealed the true cost of victory. 47 human ships had been destroyed in the final assault, along with vessels from 6 other species. Over 30,000 beings had died to save trillions more, but they had won. For the first time in 10,000 years, the Devourer threat was truly ended. The political changes came quickly after that. The old Galactic Council dissolved itself, replaced by a new organization with humanity as one of 5 founding powers. Jake Morrison became the first Secretary General of Galactic Defense, tasked with preventing any future existential threats. "We've learned some hard lessons," he addressed the first session of the new council. "Power without wisdom leads to destruction. Wisdom without power leads to extinction. We need both if we're going to survive what the universe throws at us." The new government wasn't perfect. Some species remained resentful of human leadership, others grateful for human sacrifice. But everyone understood that the old way of thinking, the idea that some species were naturally superior to others, had died with the Devourers. 6 months after the final battle, Admiral Lisa Hayes patrolled the Outer Rim in command of an integrated fleet. Zelkari ships flew alongside human vessels, Vorthak crew served on Kethmar ships and humans trained under alien officers. The galaxy was learning to work together in ways it never had before. "Admiral, we're receiving a distress call from the outer spiral," reported her communications officer, a young Zelkari named Tekvul. "Pirates are attacking a trade convoy." "All ships set course for the distress signal," Lisa ordered. "Let's show these pirates what unified galactic defense looks like." The response was immediate and overwhelming. 12 ships from 4 different species converged on the pirate base, their combined firepower ending the threat in minutes. It was exactly the kind of cooperation that had seemed impossible just a year before. Dr. Sarah Mitchell now led the Galactic Research Initiative, carefully sharing human technologies while developing new ones with alien partners. The quantum disruptors were gone forever, but humanity was learning things from their alien colleagues that they never could have discovered alone. The Vorthak mental enhancement techniques combined with human neural interfaces are producing amazing results, she reported to Admiral Brooks. "We're creating technologies that neither species could have developed separately." On Earth, the Galactic Defense Academy trained cadets from dozens of species together. Human instructors taught alien students about strategy and tactics, while alien teachers shared their knowledge of physics, biology, and psychology. The next generation was growing up thinking of themselves as galactic citizens first, species members second. Colonel Danny Turner, now General Turner, commanded the Academy's advanced training programs. He watched young beings from across the galaxy work together on complex problems, learning that diversity of thought was often more valuable than superiority of weapons. "Remember," he told a mixed class of human and alien cadets, "strength isn't about being able to destroy your enemies. Real strength is about being able to protect what matters most, even when it cost you everything." The galaxy had learned that lesson the hard way. The species that had seemed weakest had proven strongest when it mattered most. The civilization that had hidden its power had been willing to sacrifice it all for others. And the beings that had been dismissed as primitives had taught everyone else what true leadership really meant. But perhaps the most important lesson was simpler than all of that. In a universe full of dangers, the greatest threat often came from the arrogance of thinking you were better than everyone else. The Devourers had been destroyed by their own prejudice, just as their creators had been before them. Now the galaxy spoke with many voices, but moved with one purpose. The age of isolated competing species was over. What came next would be built by all of them together, with humanity as guides rather than rulers, teachers rather than masters. The silence that had once filled the galaxy when humans revealed their true strength had been replaced by something better, the sound of 1,000,000,000,000 voices working in harmony, building a future that none of them could have achieved alone. And in the depths of space, where the Devourer core had once spread its mechanical hatred, new stations were being built. Research facilities and defense platforms, crewed by beings from across the galaxy, standing watch against whatever threats might emerge from the darkness between stars. The galaxy had learned that sometimes the greatest strength comes from knowing when to be weak, and the greatest wisdom comes from understanding that no one species has all the answers. It was a lesson written in starlight and sealed with the blood of heroes from a dozen worlds. And humanity, the species that had once hidden among the stars like children afraid of the dark, now stood proudly as the galaxy's guardians, protectors, and guides toward a future brighter than any of them had dared to dream.